Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Well, you know, New Year's resolutions are things always people come up with this time of year. So has the Kingfish. In this episode of Amos and Andy, we're going to hear on this Thursday from 70 years ago, January 6, 1952. Kingfish makes his resolutions, but decides to break one very important one. And we thank you for tuning in on this. Sure, happy it's Thursday, the 6th day of January. This is 360 days remaining now till we get to the new year. Samuel Morse first successfully tested the telegraph on this date in 1838. Washington National Cathedral, chartered by Congress in 1893, the charter signed by President Benjamin Harrison. Maria Montessori opened her first school in 1907. It was also a daycare center for working-class children in Rome. Happy birthday, New Mexico. You were admitted as the 47th State of the Union in 1912. Mother Teresa arrived in Calcutta on this date in 1929 to begin a legacy of work among India's poorest and diseased people. The first diesel engine automobile trip completed on this date in 1930 from Indianapolis to New York City. Thomas Edison submitted his last patent application on this date in 1931. And it was on this date in 1941, President Roosevelt delivered his Four Freedoms speech in the State of the Union address.
In the future days, which we seek to make secure, we look forward to a world founded upon four essential human freedoms. The first is freedom of speech and expression everywhere in the world. The second is freedom of every person to worship God in his own way everywhere in the world. The third is freedom from want, which translated into world terms means economic understandings which will secure to every nation a healthy, peacetime life for its inhabitants everywhere in the world. The fourth is freedom from fear, which translated into world terms means a worldwide reduction of armaments to such a point and in such a thorough fashion that no nation will be in a position to commit an act of physical aggression against any neighbor anywhere in the world.
President Roosevelt's Four Freedoms speech made to Congress on this date in 1941. In response to the energy crisis, daylight saving time commenced nearly 4 months early in the U.S. in 1974. By the way, it is daylight saving time. No S on that. President Carter signed the Chrysler Loan Guarantee Act on this day in 1980. Permitting the government to guarantee $1.5 billion in loans to Chrysler from private sources, providing an additional $2 billion in commitments or concessions could be arranged by Chrysler.
This is just a great day for a lot of people who work very hard in Detroit, and we're going to make the most of it, and we're going to merit the confidence of everybody in this room, given about 6 months a year of hard work.
Chrysler Chairman Lee Iacocca, the bailouts kept Chrysler going for a number of years. Amid great secrecy, Dan White, the man convicted of killing Mayor George Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk in 1978, released from prison in 1984 and began serving a one-year parole in Los Angeles County.
Yesterday was the last day that Dan White could spend knowing he would live through that day. Dan White starts a life sentence. And I'm sorry to say, it's not going to be a long one.
Activist Dan Fertig, at a protest following White's release, White would take his own life a year and a half later. And it was on this date in 1994, Nancy Kerrigan clubbed on the right leg by an assailant under orders from figure skating rival Tonya Harding.
Hit you? Let me get married. Who hit you?
The incident, which had Olympic implications, spawned a number of television movies and a 2017 motion picture, I, Tonya, if you're interested. Two longtime members of the Harlem Globetrotters had their numbers retired on this date in 2001. Marcus Haynes, Meadowlark Lemon, had long stints with the team. Lemon played in 16,000 games between 1954 and 1979. It was on this date in 2005. Edgar Ray Killen is arrested as a suspect for the 1964 murders of 3 civil rights workers. And it was in 2017 Congress certified President Trump winner of the 2016 election. Passing away on this date in history, President Teddy Roosevelt, also trumpeter Dizzy Gillespie, singer Lou Rawls, and From One Day at a Time, and a number of other shows, Pat Harrington Jr. This is the birthday of Benjamin Franklin, also poet historian Carl Sandburg, actor Tom Mix, actress Loretta Young, Danny Thomas, behind St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and Danny Thomas he did some acting, did quite a bit, but he was more known behind the scenes as a producer. Did a lot of that. Automaker John DeLorean, born on this date. Earl Scruggs from Flatt and Scruggs. Also Mel from the television show Alice. Vic Tayback, born on this date. And From One Day at a Time, Bonnie Franklin, born on this date. Singer Nino Temple, best known for his work with his sister April Stevens, 87 today. Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson, is 67. Wrestlers, couple of them today, both turning 58. Jacqueline Moore and Conan, both turning 58 today. Eric Trump is 38 today. Saturday Night Live comedian Kate McKinnon is 38 as well. And from Mad Max Fury Road, Courtney Eaton is 26. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 6th day of January as their birthday. If this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
And we'll go back 70 years to January 6, 1952. Amos and Andy on this Thursday edition of Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater here on your favorite station. Now, Freeman Gosden and Charles Correll in an episode of Amos and Andy. This was originally broadcast on January 6th, 1952.
Andy, you know what that music say?
Yes, sir, Amos. That music say, good health to all from Rexall.
The Amos and Andy Show, written by Joe Connolly and Bob Mosier, featuring Ernestine Wade, Johnny Lee, Amanda Randolph, Will Wright, Jeff Alexander's music, yours truly, Harlow Wilcox, and starring radio's all-time favorites, Freeman Gosden and Charles Correll. Amos and Andy! On New Year's Day, the Kingfish made a speech to the Lodge brothers on the importance of sticking to one's New Year's resolutions. And, following his own advice, after dinner on New Year's Day, while Sapphire was doing the dishes, the Kingfish sat down and sincerely wrote out his resolutions.
Resolution number 1. I was going to be kind and considerate toward my dear wife, Sapphire. She is one of the sweetest and gentlest...
George Stevens, what are you doing in that? you loafer?
That she is one of the fairest creatures and like a delicate flower.
George Stevens, get in here and help me with these dishes.
Sapphire, would you mind shutting your big fat mouth while I write how sweet and gentle you is?
What crazy nonsense is you up to in here anyway?
Well, I just writing a resolution here about how sweet and kind I gonna be to you, my gorgeous one.
Don't you gorgeous one me. Look at me. I done lost my looks. I got gray streaks in my hair. I's a mess and you knows it.
Well, I know you was a mess, honey, but you was a sweet-looking mess.
What?
Well, I didn't mean that, honey. Why, you were still a fine-looking woman. A woman I'd be proud to take out any evening.
Oh, so you ashamed to be seen with me in the daytime.
Oh, no. Come on, honey, please. I trying to make out my New Year's resolution. Like I was telling Amos-and-Andy yesterday. Everybody got to make out resolutions this time of the year. You got to be sincere. You got to be loyal. You got to be...
Oh, shut up.
Honey, baby, don't talk like that. You were sweet and kind.
You don't have to tell me I'm sweet and kind. It's perfectly obvious to everybody how sweet and kind I is, you fathead. Well, I've been sweet and kind all of my life, and if you dare to contradict me, I'll jam this dish mop down your throat and show you how sweet and kind I is.
Well, so much for resolution number 1. Well, I didn't do too good yesterday with my resolutions. See, I'll make out with my second resolution. I will be considerate to my mother-in-law. Poor Mama is sick in bed this morning, so I'll bring her breakfast in on this tray to her. I'll knock on the door. Oh, you, Mama dear, is you in there? Oh, you is in there, Mama.
Well, who do you expect to find in here? Winston Churchill?
Now, look here, Mama-in-law dear, I done brought you breakfast on a tray. See the nice tray, orange juice, coffee, and a poached egg on toast. It's one of my New Year's resolutions. Let me put it on your lap there.
What's this here on the tray?
Why, that's just a rose that I put there, Mama dear.
Here I is in bed with rose fever, and you brings me flowers. You know that always makes me George, what you doing down there on the floor?
Nothing, Mama. Just looking for the poached egg. Upstairs. Here it is. It done backflip right in your bathrobe pocket there. Yeah, it didn't even break much. Just a little run in here.
George.
Yes, Mama dear.
While I lift the tray up, would you bend over here and smooth out the covers for me?
I'd be glad to.
That's it. Bend way over. A little further.
Oh, my head!
Sapphire, come in here and drag Father Time and his resolutions out of here.
Oh, me, well, it's quiet here at the lodge hall. I'm down to one resolution, the last one on the paper here. I will not gyp my dear friend and comrade, Andrew H. Brown. I got to stick to this last one on the paper here at all costs, or the brothers won't think I was sincere. Yes, Oh, come in, Brother Andy. I was just sitting here thinking about you.
Well, I wish you wouldn't do that, Kingfish. It usually costs me money.
No, Andy, I was sincere. I'm speaking from the heart. Oh, I tell you, Andy, I love you, boy. Let me put my arm around you, boy. I was just thinking about our beautiful friendship, about the warmth and affection that exists between you and me, the love and devotion.
Listen, Kingfish, if you try to kiss me, I'll punch you right in the nose.
No, Andy, I am sincere. I'm really a happy man. I made a resolution right on the paper here, Andy, and I ain't gonna gyp you no more.
Well, that's fine, because I is happy today, too. You know, I was happy about that brooch you done found when we was cleaning out the attic in the lodge hall.
Oh, yeah, that old green brooch, the one that I sold you for $25 and made up that crazy story about it belonging to some big Indian Mama Raja, or the Mama Raja of indoor, outdoor, one of them doors. I was ashamed that I done that to you, but now that I got the resolution on paper here for this year...
Yeah, well, I ain't ashamed that you done it. I done showed that brooch to Amos. He showed it to a jeweler, a friend of his, and the fella wrote me a letter this morning. He say it's real jade and it's worth $800.
The brooch is worth $800?
That's right.
Well, so much for the last resolution. Now, tell me, Andy, this $800 brooch, you got it right in your pocket, ain't you?
Kingfish, this time I was playing it safe. I got that brooch pinned inside my underwear.
Yeah. Got the thing pinned in your long woolies, huh?
Yeah, and as long as my underwear is lumpy, I know I was safe.
Yeah, it does, huh?
Yeah. Well, I gotta be going, Kingfish. I'll see you around sometime.
Well, now, wait a minute, old pal. This is the year, New Year, you know, and everything. For old time's sake, let me slap you on the back here. Yeah, turn around. Let me slap you on the chest, too, Andy.
Now, wait a minute. Never mind that, Kingfish. I gotta be going.
Now, wait a minute. You wouldn't want to jump up and down with joy a couple of times before you leave, would you, boy?
Kingfish, what is you talking about?
Oh, nothing, Andy. Just a sort.
Yeah, well, so long, Kingfish. I'll be seeing you.
Yeah, well, you don't have to go, Andy. Sit down and talk to me. I just want you to know, Andy, that I means that speech I made to the brothers, and I'm going to keep my resolution. From now on, I'm going to be sincere, honest, and above board. A true blue friend. You believe me, don't you?
Sure, I believe you.
Then you ain't going to keep your brooch pinned in your underwear.
No, sir. After that speech, I'm going home and sew the brooch in my underwear.
I got to figure out something fast before Andy sells that brooch for $800. Let me get in here and see Algonquin J. Calhoun.
How you there, Kingfish? What's up?
Little Calhoun, I need your help. Andy got a $800 brooch, and I got to figure some way to get away from it.
Now, wait a minute, Kingfish. Ain't you the one that give all the Lodge brothers that stuff about keeping their resolution, and now you trying to jip Andy?
Well, Calhoun, this is different.
No, it ain't, because Andy is my friend. I'd be lower than a reptile to turn on the boy.
But Calhoun...
I would be lower than a serpent.
Calhoun...
To do that, I'd be lower than the lowest snake.
Calhoun, there's $100 in it for you.
Well, let me coil up here and think of an angle.
Yeah, well, now, that's better, Calhoun, but... it ain't gonna be so easy this time. Andy got the brooch sewed in the inside of his underwear.
Sewed to the underwear, huh? Well, now, let me see. Maybe you could talk the boy into going swimming, and then you could go through his clothes while he's in the water.
No, this ain't the swimming weather here.
It sure ain't, Kingfish, but wait a minute. I know. I done read somewhere where some society people had a party. One of them big Hawaiian parties. You know, a luau. Where they have roast pig and all that Hawaiian food.
Yeah, well, what's that got to do with it?
Well, when the guests arrived, to keep the Hawaiian spirit, they all had to change into sarongs.
Yeah, I see your point, sarongs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell Andy I threw in a Hawaiian luau at the lodge hall tonight, and when he changes into a sarong, then I can go through his underwear.
Yeah. But if it's going to be a big party like that, he's going to expect a whole lot of people, you know.
Yeah, well, I'll think of some way to cover that.
Yeah.
I'll call him right away. Tell him about the luau, the roast pig and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, once he gets into the sarong, get that on, I'll go through his underwear.
Yeah.
Boy, that Andy was really crazy to tell me about Amos's jeweler friend offering him $800 for the brooch.
Yeah, that was just another case of self-inflicted barbecue.
Self-inflicted barbecue?
Yeah, the boy done cooked his own goose.
Freeman Gosden and Charles Correll, two white actors, created the characters Amos and Andy. when, they were portrayed as African American. Of course, note from the cast list that they did give a lot of work to African American actors. And the show really has to be considered the longest running show, although it evolved over the years. It ran from 1928 until 1960. I'm Wyatt Cox. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station on this Thursday. The news from 70 years ago today comes up next. Mike Lindell, the inveterate CEO of MyPillow, wants to give back to listeners. You can get great discounts on all MyPillow products if you go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special. Deep discounts on all MyPillow products, like the buy one, get one free special on Giza Dream Sheets. All MyPillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. Call 1-800-951-8175 or go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special. Use my promo code USA.
If you feel like you're stuck with a health care plan you don't like, right now is a great time to switch to MediShare. They'll waive your new member fee if you join by January 15th. So that's $170 in addition to all the other savings. The typical family saves $500 or more per month. And MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate when compared to health insurance. Double. Again, join by January 15th and save even more. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station, listening to an episode of Amos and Andy starring Freeman Gosden and Charles Correll, as it was broadcast 70 years ago, Sunday, January 6, 1952. In the newspapers of that Sunday, these were some of the headlines. President Truman and Prime Minister Churchill laid the groundwork Saturday night for a detailed survey of Anglo-American relations, policy toward Russia, and other issues of global importance. The two men held a 75-minute session with their top advisors aboard the presidential yacht Williamsburg. The detailed analysis of international problems gets underway Monday and Tuesday. One British Royal Air Force mechanic was wounded, several soldiers injured Saturday night when Egyptian terrorists ambushed two RAF cars on the Ismaili Abu Shwir Road. A British military spokesman who announced the incident said it was the sixth attack on British military vehicles along the 11-mile stretch of road in the past 24 hours. The Democratic congressman from Georgia, Vinson, the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, proposed a quick start on universal military training by taking in volunteers between 17 and 19. He outlined a plan for partial universal military training, which 60,000 youths would be permitted to volunteer for 6 months training, an additional 18 months as active duty as reservists. The proposal, he said in a statement, will be submitted to the Armed Services Committee due to begin hearings January 15th on legislation. Hungary Saturday night accused the U.S. of rude and open violations of obligations in the closing of the Hungarian consulates in New York and Cleveland. The government ordered the consulates closed and banned American travel in Hungary in retaliation for the conviction of 4 American flyers whose U.S. Army plane landed in Hungary last November 19th. The 4 were fined $30,000 each and released on payment by the U.S. of $120,000 to Hungary. Hungary registered her protest in a note handed to the State Department in Washington. Russia's double-edged efforts to push the Korean armistice talks and all Cold War issues into the lap of the high-level special session of the Security Council appear doomed. Western sources said the Soviet plan to move the Panmunjom truce talks to the Security Council had been blocked by U.S. warnings that such a maneuver would delay and might even torpedo the present efforts to end the Korean fighting. The Russian proposal to refer all Cold War issues to the Council, these sources said, is being redrafted into a watered-down Western-backed plan for a high-level meeting of the Council after a Korean truce has been reached, if and when the 11-nation Council considers the atmosphere favorable. President Truman Saturday appointed Thomas C. Buchanan chairman of the Federal Power Commission, but still gave no hint on his choice for a new member to bring the Federal Power Commission to full strength of 5. Buchanan, a native of Beaver, Pennsylvania, has been acting chairman since Monsi Walgren of Washington resigned last October 1st for personal and private reasons. And Ed Bunke of Eugene, Oregon, wanted 10,000 postcards. So he went to the post office and wanted them 49 at a time. Well, Postmaster Ethan Newman tried to persuade him into that bargain, even if he bought them all at once. But Bunke, the chairman of the County Republican Central Committee, said it'd still take him 49 at a time. Cheaper that way, he said. Ridiculous, but cheaper. That's because a new federal law says postcards are 2 cents each unless bought in batches of 50 or more, in which case 10% is added. Bunke, having established his position, turned the job over to an employee, W.A. McConnell. Newman, failing in his selling task, turned the counting over to stamp clerk James McBurney. After each transaction of 49 cards, McConnell went to the back of the end of the line, and there was one. After a solid 45 minutes, the deal completed, Mr. Connell headed back to Bunke's print shop with a box full of cards turned crosswise in batches of 49. The 45 minutes saved $20. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, January 6, 1952, on your radio 70 years ago today, Amos and Andy, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater.
Well, I got everything ready for the Hawaiian luau here at the Lodge Hall. I got these few sticks of bamboo around here, this old fishnet hanging up, and this one-string ukulele. This old restaurant tablecloth will make a nice sarong. Yeah, Andy was really excited about that luau when I called him. He ought to be here.
Hi, Kingfish. Here I is.
Well, Brother Andy. Welcome to the luau. Yeah. Or as we say in Hawaii, hello to you.
Yeah. Hello to you, Tua.
Yeah, well.
So nice that you asked me to this big feast, Kingfish.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have a big time. Yakahula, hickadoolist, and all that stuff. Big time, boy.
Yeah. But say, you say there are going to be a lot of people here. Where's all the Hawaiians?
Well, Andy, they was coming from Hawaii, and some of them got delayed. Little minor inconveniences, monsoons and tidal waves, you know. I understand the octopus grabbed the guest of honor about an hour ago.
That's a shame. Some of the fellas can't make it, huh?
They was sending in their regrets. They've been coming right along, telegrams and coming all evening. Got one right here. Let me read it to you. It's in Hawaiianese, but I'll transpose the thing for you. Say here, dear Kingfish, sorry unable to make your luau. Suffering from beriberi of the tonsils. I was flat on my back in my little grass shack. Signed, Duke Cucamonga.
Well, I hope some of these Hawaiians shows up. And say, Kingfish, you say there was going to be a big feast here, roast pig and everything. Where's the roast pig?
Well, I'm going to explain to you why the pig ain't here.
Yeah, well, now, don't tell me you got a telegram from him, too.
No, and you see, the way they roast a Hawaiian pig is to bury it in the sand on the beach over hot coals.
They does, huh?
Yeah, so you see, I sent a couple of Hawaiian friends of mine over to Coney Island on the subway with the pig. Now, they done buried it in the sand, all right, but they run into a little trouble. They don't seem to be able to locate the pig's grave right now.
Yeah, well, that's a shame, you know.
Yeah, Andy, but you happens to be down the beach next summer and runs into a pig with an apple in his mouth, enjoy it, boy. It's all yours. We can't let a little thing like a pig spoil the party, though, Andy. Yeah, slip into this sarong and get in the spirit of things. Wait
a minute. I don't want to put on no sarong.
Oh, wait a minute. All the guests going to wear sarongs, Andy. You don't want to violate the traditions of Hawaii.
Yeah, well, okay. But if this is a sarong, how come it say automat on there? Look at that.
Let me see. That ain't automat, Andy. There's autumar, an old Hawaiian word meaning this end up.
Oh.
Go on in the back room there, Andy, and put on the sarong there.
Okay, well, I don't want to violate none of the traditions of Hawaii. I'll go.
Yeah, well, Andy, if you do that, you know, Harry Owens liable to throw you in the volcano. Get on in the back room there.
Well, Kingfish, I got the sarong on. How'd I look?
Well, Andy, you look Say, wait a minute, Andy. You just violated another tradition of the islands.
Well,
Yeah, the true Hawaiian never puts the sarong over his long woolen underwear.
you don't, huh?
Of course not. Did you ever see Dorothy Lamour doing the hula with her knees at half-mast?
Well, okay, I'll take the underwear off.
Yeah.
Well, I was all set now, Kingfish.
Oh, yeah, that's better, Andy. Yeah, come on in, join the merry Megan. Shame some of the Hawaiians ain't showed up.
Yeah, well, I'd feel better if the pig had just show up.
Well, the party seemed to be dragging a little on his feet here. Here, Andy, take this ukulele and beat out a little Hawaiian tune and play any of them Hawaiian songs, Sweet Salami, or anything you want.
You mean Sweet Lalani?
Yeah, just keep things going, Andy. I'll be right back. I'll see you later.
Let me see here. Sweet Lalani, heavenly flower, do-de-do-de-o-de, passion road. Oh, you back, Kingfish?
Oh, yeah, I just want to get these scissors off my desk here.
Yeah, but Kingfish...
Oh, never mind, Andy. Just keep playing. Be right back.
I guess the Kingfish want to cut something loose in the back room there. Well, sweet Lalani, heavenly flower.
Oh, me. Well, I got out the back door of the lodge hall with Anna's underwear. At least I'm safe here in the basement of my apartment. Now I got to get the brooch off the boy's underwear here. I'll snipe the thing off here. Let me start snipping here. I'll get these scissors going. There we is. Now I'll open the furnace door and I'll throw the long woolies in there. Then I'll take the brooch down to the jewelry store. Boy, is I excited. Now, let me throw the long woolies in that big fire there. There we go. Now, I'll close the door. Now, all I got to do... Wait a minute. What is I doing with the suit of long underwear in my hand? Holy mackerel, I done throw the brooch in the furnace. Oh, me, I was done hear the wild pictures, but I just dizzy-deed myself out of $800 here. Wait a minute.
The Kingfish gets himself into more jams, while causing other people jams. January 8th, 1952, Amos-and-Andy, on this Thursday Classic Radio Theater.
What does it mean to be an American? Just what are our American values? Working hard to succeed, loving God, country, and family, being honest, strong, and compassionate.
Supporting our Constitution and recognizing that we are blessed to be living in America, the greatest country in the world.
Our Bill of Rights protects us, our freedoms of worship, speech, and privacy, our right to own firearms, our right to trial by jury,
our right to be free, to live our own lives without some bureaucrat telling us what to do. Most countries don't have these rights.
Want to know more? It's all there in the book. Get your own free book, The U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Then read it again, and this time share it with your friends. Our great Constitution is the basis of all of our freedoms, our inalienable rights. Get your own copy at freeusbook.com.
Brought to you by the American Media Council.
We'll go to the movies on our Friday edition of Classic Radio Theater. Ray Milland, Jane Wyman, starring in the Screen Guild Players presentation of The Lost Weekend. In their original 1945 screen roles from January 7th, 1946, 76 years ago, an adaptation of the Academy Award-winning motion picture about an alcoholic writer and the people who surround him. That'll be on Friday's Classic Radio Theater, but now the conclusion of Amos-and-Andy from 70 years ago, January 6, 1952.
Listen, Andy, will you do me a favor and explain to me once again what happened to the $800 brooch?
Well, Amos, I was standing there in my sarong, and somewhere around the second chorus of Sweet Lalani, I realized the thing was gone.
And you say your underwear was in the back room with the brooch sewed in it, and that was the last you seen of it?
Yeah, and I know the pig didn't have nothing to do with it because he didn't show up. One of them Hawaiians must have got it. Duke Coca-Cola or some of those guys.
Listen, Andy, doing this crazy luau, tell me this. Did the Kingfish do anything suspicious?
No. He just went in the back room twice.
Twice?
Yeah, he come out once for a pair of scissors.
Andy, don't you see what has done happened?
Well, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That was a phony luau.
Yeah.
The Kingfish just done it to get my brooch away from me.
Yeah, well, what is he going to do about it, Andy?
Amos, I'm going to get a club and go over and do the Hawaiian war dance all over that Kingfish's chest.
Oh, me, why did I throw that brooch in the furnace? Suppose Andy finds out. I'll have to face the music. I just hope that he...
Kingfish, I'm going to take this bat and beat your brains out.
Well, as Toscanini said, the symphony has begun. Andy, now wait a minute. You wouldn't hit a sick man, would you?
You ain't sick.
Andy, I just had one of my dizzy spells. Is you by any chance wearing 2 derbies? I tell you, Andy, I better run down to the hospital.
Stand where you is, you hear? Now hand over that brooch before I take this bat and does some cranium cracking. I got the bat all ready.
Well, now wait a minute, brother Andy, now wait a minute. Is you a man of character?
Well, I guess I is.
And, well, you can take the good with the bad, can't you?
Yeah.
Well, Andy, I throwed your brooch in the furnace, and the thing done melted to just nothing.
Kingfish, batter up.
Now, wait a minute, Andy, wait a minute. Stop standing there like Joe DiMaggio. Yeah, we'll figure something out here.
Yeah, well, you better talk fast.
Now, wait a minute. I'm going to talk fast. Andy, look here. I got a theft policy that covers my personal belongings in case they get stolen. Now, we can collect for the brooch on my policy.
Yeah, well, you better do something.
Now, listen, I'll go home, get the policy, and we'll go down to the insurance company.
Yeah, well, okay, Kingfish, but it better work.
Oh, it'll work.
Yeah, well, I just hope that we don't get down there and find out your policy done perspired. That's
no.
I know you have a theft policy with us, Mr. Stevens, but let me get this straight. You say you were robbed?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. This is Honest Brown here. He was right with me when the theft occurred, yes.
Yes, sir. I was there when the thing was thefted.
Well, this is most unfortunate.
Oh, yes, sir. We was walking down a dark alley when this fella jumped out and he stuck a gun in my stomach. And he said, your money or your green jade brooch? That's what he said to me.
Yeah, that's what the man said. He was real polite, all right.
Oh, yeah, sir,
I see.
I would put up a fight for the thing, but, well, I happen to remember I also had a burial policy with your company, and I didn't want to put you on the hook for a funeral, too, you see. That's why.
Mr. Stevens is real considerate, you know, mister.
Well, I got my theft policy here. The brooch was worth $800. You can just make out the check to George Stevens, $800.
I think you better talk to our manager, Mr. Salisbury. You wait here, and I'll get him.
Yeah, sir. We'd be glad to meet the man.
I'll be right back.
Boy, working out fine, ain't it?
Oh, yeah, nice fella, too. Yeah, that sure is a impressive-looking policy I got here. Ain't looked at it for a long time. Look at all the big printing on there. This company assumes liability. Claims promptly paid. Oh, I signed this thing up 6 months ago, yeah.
Yeah, look down there, Kingfish. What is all that little printing over your signature there? What is that?
Yeah, let me squint there. You ain't got no magnifying glass, eh?
No.
Hey, herewith penalties for defrauding. $5,000 fine or 6 years in jail. See, the end of this is a great policy. If the company tries to defraud us, we can throw them in jail for 6 years, boy.
We can do that to him?
Oh, yeah, and see here, that is pursuant to the criminal code.
Yeah, well, I know that pursuant means somebody going to get pursued.
Yeah, it means that, all right.
I wish we knowed more about the criminal code so we could find out who's going to be chasing who around here.
Now, wait a minute, and looking at this paragraph right here. See here, in case of willful misrepresentation or fraud, the insurer can take criminal action against the insuree.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key to the whole mess. Is we the insurer or is we the insuree?
Yeah, well, I don't know if we is the insurer or the insuree, but I got a sneaking suspicion we're going to end up as the jailee.
Henry, you're right. As Napoleon said at Waterloo, I think it's retreating time.
Yeah, grab the policy and let's pursue ourselves out
Yeah,
here.
come on, get up, quick. Oh. Well, Andy, we're lucky to be out of there.
Well, wait a minute. You ain't out of it, Kingfish. You took my $800 brooch and burned it up. Now, either you gives me the money or I'm going to do like Amos told me to do. I go to the police and swear out a warrant for your arrest.
Well, now, wait a minute, Andy. I can't raise no $800. You can't throw me in jail.
Oh, yes, I can. You and all that talk to the brothers about how we got to keep our New Year's resolutions. Then jipping me. You is going to jail.
Well, now, wait a minute. Listen, Andy, wait a minute. Now, just give me till tomorrow, will you? I'll raise what money I can. I'll pawn everything I own. Just give me till tomorrow morning.
Well, okay. But I'll meet you in your office at 9 o'clock. And if you don't have some money for me, you and me is going to play baseball again.
Well, there you is, Andy. $110, $120, $130. Now, that's every nickel I could raise by pawning everything I had, Andy.
Yeah, well, it was an $800 brooch, and all I was getting is this. You think I ought to take it, Amos?
Well, I guess, Andy, if that's all that he can do for you, why, you better take it. It's better than nothing.
Well, okay, Kingfish, I'll take it.
All right, Andy, thank you. And believe me, I'm really sorry that I didn't keep my New Year's resolution. So long, boy.
Amos the Kingfish making that crazy speech to the brothers about keeping New Year's resolutions. I bet nobody paid no attention to it.
Yeah, well, I did, Andy. I paid attention to his speech, and I made up my mind to keep one resolution that I made. And you ought to be happy, too, son.
What do you mean I ought to be happy? Your jeweler friend wrote me a letter that the brooch is worth $800, and I only got $130 from the Kingfish. Why should I be happy about you keeping your resolution?
Well, Andy, my one resolution was that I wasn't going to let the Kingfish get away with jipping you this year.
What you mean?
Andy, I ain't got no jeweler friend. I done writ the letter myself about the brooch being worth $800.
There you go, Amos and Andy from 70 years ago, January 6, 1952, here on Classic Radio Theater. Visit my webpage, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting, and contact me, classicradio.stream. Don't forget that our shows are always available at our webpage and anywhere podcasts are served. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Have yourself a great day, won't you, please? Please do us a favor and thank this radio station and support their advertisers. They make it possible for us to be here on your favorite station. And tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial, Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station.